Hi everyone, welcome back. This is week 19 of my social isolation get ready with me's, and this week I gave the choice between the Urban Decay Naked Reloaded palette and the Too Faced White Chocolate Bar palette. I have to say, I was rooting for the White Chocolate Bar palette and I didn't get my wish. Most of you guys voted for the Naked Reloaded with 59% of the vote. So that's what we're going to be using today. So week 19, and I got news for you guys. It's going to be a lot more weeks than that. We got an official statement from the office today saying that we were not going to be returning to work for 2020, to the office that is. So I'm going to be filming these through until 2021 and probably will continue after that because I can't imagine we're going to be returning back to work like starting straight away in January. So yeah, this may go on for an entire year for me, which is kind of unbelievable to think about. I mean, I kind of expected worst case scenario like 6 months maybe, or maybe 9 months, but it's sounding like this is going to last for a very long time. In some ways, I was kind of expecting it. I don't know, I kind of felt like they were leading people along at work, not intentionally, but just because they didn't want to scare people. So they kept kind of saying like, you know, we'll reevaluate in 1 more month, or, you know, we're looking at September. But then as all those months drew closer and closer, it became very apparent that COVID-19 was not getting resolved anytime soon and we should not be returning to work. So yeah, that's my latest update. Official word that we're not going back to the office for 2020. I never thought I'd live through something like this in my life at all. Holy smokes. Having said that, I was really happy to hear that because it's sort of enabled me to sort of plan for the next few months. I think I mentioned before that my butt has been killing me in my seat lately. I sit at the kitchen table with my computer and I've been sitting in relatively padded kitchen table chairs. But my butt has made such an imprint in those chairs that I need a new chair. So I've actually bought a new computer chair that was delivered today, which is really nice. And I'm excited to like put it all together and sit in that cushy thing. I already know I like that chair because I already use that in my main room here when I'm gaming. So I'm very excited to have one in the other room for when I'm actually working at my, desk job. I don't think I showed the Naked Reloaded in my intro. So this is the palette. It came out, I'm gonna guess 2 years ago now. And they discontinued the original Naked palette when they launched this one, which was a little bit shocking because I really liked that palette. But I did try this one out. I did a full review and 5 looks on it, and I love this thing. I think it's a wonderful replacement for the original Naked palette, especially because there's so many more mattes in this one than there were in the original Naked, which was fine for the time, but that was like 10 years ago. So this was a very good update. So today, what I want to do is a relatively soft look. So I'm going to start with Retro, which is a very nice kind of peachy coral color, and I'm just going to put that through my crease. I'm a huge fan of using corals and pinks actually in the crease instead of like a medium brown. I suppose you could go in with either of these two here. But I just don't love it as much on myself. I'd rather use like a more coral peachy tone. And that's what the focus of this look is going to be. Just really coral and peachy. I've done similar looks before, and I just really like how they come out. They're on the softer side of things, which is not always my vibe, but sometimes they can be really flattering. Okay, so for my lid shade, I'm going to take Angel Fire here, which honestly, that name makes me laugh so much. Did anybody else, or was anybody else around the time of the free websites that were available through Angel Fire and GeoCities and Fortune City? Just really harkens back for me to like the mid to late 90s. Oh, and I always forget how stiff this color is. It's a beautiful shade, but I'm not picking it up on this brush at all. Just a second, I gotta go wet my brush. So when I wet my brush for these things, I really dunk it. Like I get this thing soaking wet. You can see there's a lot of moisture on there. And then, okay, to be fair, I did just tap that off a little bit. And then I go straight into the pigment and pretty much like soak it. And then that way I get a little bit of a paste, which makes it a lot easier to apply to my eye. It's possible Ivory in this shadow and it's fine on its own, but I think adding water to it has caused it to be a little bit harder to get off with just a straight dry brush now. But when it's wet, it goes on so freaking foiled and like smooth and shimmery. It's really nice. But with a dry brush, man, it's a nightmare. Actually, let me just show you the difference. So that was a wet brush. I'm not done blending it. But if I take the dry side on a dry brush and try to apply it, like look at the difference, right? Like nothing is barely coming off on that side of my eye. And I mean, maybe if I really built it up, but like that's not good. So I definitely prefer to wet this shadow. And take it on the inner corner of the eye too. And then just blend it out. And then covering over the dry side, because I was not gonna have eyeshadow that was looking like that. One recommendation for anybody who is unaware, don't wet your brush and put it in a matte shadow. That will ruin the thing completely. I've done that with a few of them, just trying to see if it would work back in the day, and I end up with immediate hard pan, and it's so crusty that I can't get anything off. So just something to be aware of. Only do this with shimmer shadows. I actually don't want to do too much to this eye look because I think it's quite pretty as is, but I'm a sucker for a darker outer corner color, so I have to do something. So I'm going to take Endgame here, which is very dark, but I'm just going to lightly tap into it and then start dabbing it right at the outer corner and dispersing it upwards. So there's a little bit there, and I'm trying to drag it up into my crease color and lightly into the shadow on my lid, but I don't want it to overtake the entire look. I just really like sort of a darker edge because I'm not going to be doing a winged liner with this look because I feel like it tends to look a little bit harsh. So I do think I went a little bit overboard there, so I'm just going to go back in with my crease color and just layer it back on top. Yeah, and I think that brought down the outer corner color a little bit because I really don't want the focus to be on that. I want it to be more on like the lid and the crease color. For the brow bone highlight shade, keeping it pretty much consistent with every look that I do, I'm going to take the shade Bribe here and use that to blend out my crease color. Okay, as I said, I'm not going to be doing winged liner just because I feel like it's a little bit too much for these kinds of looks. I've done them before in the past, and I've looked at myself in photos when it's this soft with a super stark winged liner. I'm like, not a great look. However, I am going to be applying a false lashes, and I mentioned this before, but I'm not very good at applying false lashes without some kind of liner there. So I'm going to take my Physicians Formula Eye Booster and just create a very thin line so that I've got something to put the lashes on top of. Because again, my eyelashes are like basically blonde. I mean, maybe they're like a medium brown, but they're so pale that if I don't put some sort of liner there, the contrast between like the band of the false lash and like a gap between my lashes is super obvious, so it's not a good look on me. So I try to keep it as close to the lash line as I can. Okay, so that's a very thin line. Obviously we'll come back and finish up the eyes later because that's my habit. Let's move on to the rest of the face. For face, I wanted something a little bit dewier, so I'm hoping I match these colors a little bit better this time because last time was like not good. So I've got my favorite Boots No. 7 Instant Radiance Foundation. I've got the shade Calico, which is very pale, and I'm hoping to mix it with Warm Ivory and get my perfect skin tone. This is a very dewy foundation, and it's honestly, it's my absolute favorite dewy foundation, and it's discontinued. Just realized that I forgot my beauty blender, so I'm actually gonna have to use a brush today, which I don't do that often, but dang, is this ever a good foundation brush. So this is the Quo HD foundation brush, and it's the only one that I've found that actually works to apply my foundation without giving me any streak marks. I'm not good at applying foundation with a brush. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's brush types or my application style, but generally I end with like brush strokes on my face, which is not a good look, which is why I usually use a beauty blender. However, this one is flawless. Like there's something about this one that just works, and I can actually like draw it on like I'm freaking painting my face as opposed to my usual dab, dab, dab. And it just works out. So I did finish Anne with an E. I'm so sad to have finished it because that was season 3 and now it's just done and it's been canceled and it's not coming back because I think it was CBC and Netflix announced the show is just done. But I tell you what, that show made me so happy. Just so freaking happy. It made me smile uncontrollably. I cried quite a few times to it. Oh, what a phenomenal show. And they definitely stuck to like the books initially, like in the first season, and then they took it on a totally different twist in season 3 and brought up more like issues about women's equality and indigenous people, and I was not expecting it because I'm pretty sure those things weren't really in the books. It's been a long time since I've read them, so pardon me if I'm wrong. But it was completely unexpected, but they handled it in a way that was appropriate for like the very late 1800s and early 1900s. But they modernized it in a way to, I don't know how to describe it exactly, but it just worked out really well because it felt relevant to now, and yet obviously it was set like 120 years ago. So, oh man, it was just so good. I don't know if it's on Netflix in the US, but it is on Netflix in Canada in case anybody is interested in watching it. And I would highly, highly recommend it. I'm not somebody who loves period pieces. That's not really my thing. But there's something about Anne of Green Gables, and as a result, Anne with an E, that just really touched me. See, I always think it matches on camera. Maybe, well, my ear looks super red. And obviously my neck is not an even tone, but here's hoping that it actually looks reasonable outside of the bright lights. This is such, this foundation, why did they discontinue it? It just melts into my skin. It looks flawless. It's got a great sheen to it too, so it doesn't just look like totally flat matte, which is a look that I do actually enjoy more regularly, but there's something about a dewy foundation that just makes me feel good. It just makes me feel like I'm, I don't know, drinking enough water, getting enough sun kind of thing. Like, it just looks good. Okay, for bronzer today, I'm going to be using one of my favorite summer bronzers because it's just a perfect tone. This is the Becca Sunlit Bronzer in the shade Capri Coast, and it's a really lovely tone, so I'm pretty sure that this is the second lightest shade that they have. I do like the lighter shade for the winter time, but there's something a little bit more special about this color. I think it's just because it's got a little bit more luminosity to it that makes it look a lot more, I guess more summery is what I'm going for. So I'm going to take that on a big brush this time. Still trying to figure out how best I like bronzer applied now, because I used to use a much smaller brush, and I still do, but I feel like sometimes it's just a little bit too condensed in certain areas, so I want to kind of disperse the product a little bit more with a bigger brush. And for blush, we're going to keep it fairly peachy to match everything. This is the Too Faced Papa Don't Peach Blush, and this is a little bit shimmery as well. So I'm just really going for a glowy look today. I love how it smells because it's a sweet peach scent. Oh, one thing that is going to be changing a little bit for my channel is that I'm going to take the what I bought this month beauty hauls and kind of turn them more into like lifestyle hauls, because I'm not going back to work to the office for 2020. There's really not a lot of point in me buying any makeup. And I'd kind of already said that over the last few months that I was going to completely go on a no-buy. And I've broken that recently because there was something that I really wanted, which you're seeing this video on Tuesday. The haul video will be up on Thursday. But I'm going to change the usual hauls into more like lifestyle hauls, because I'm still buying certain things to have around the house, but it's just not a lot of makeup. And I asked on Instagram and people said that they were interested in still seeing that. So that's what I'm gonna sort of transform those videos into. I don't know if I'm gonna have stuff to show every month, but I thought it could be interesting because sometimes I am curious about what other people are buying just in their everyday life. Hopefully you're gonna find that interesting. I don't know if it's gonna be a hit or not because this is a makeup channel and I'm not planning on changing any of this makeup content because I am enjoying it. But again, there's no point in buying makeup right now because I'm just not going out. Okay, so for highlighter, I'm gonna go in with my favorite glow kit. This is the Anastasia Beverly Hills and Nicole Guerrero one. I say it's my favorite, but I really like Moonchild and Sweet, so I don't know, they're all freaking good. So, because everything's so peachy today, I think I'm just gonna take Kitty Cats, and use that. Oh, there's something about this palette. It's on the more neutral side of things, right? But there's something so freaking flattering about this. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's basically showing up texture on my skin, but I just don't care. Everybody's got texture on their skin. I have no problem showing it off, especially when highlighter looks like this. Like, that is freaking gorgeous. I don't know what it is. Like, my face has texture. I have wrinkles. That's just how skin looks. Like, why am I going to try to hide that? So I don't really care that highlighter occasionally shows my texture, because that's what my face looks like. Okay, so nothing too crazy here for the lower lash line. I think I just want to take some of Retro and just blend it along my lower lash line. Oh, I should have put a cloth down, but anyway. It might be a little bit too pink. It's okay. I'll probably add some of Endgame onto the end. Yeah, let's add a bit of Endgame. Very little. Just the very outer corner here. For my lower waterline, I'm going to be using this again. I go back to this INGLOT pencil all the time. This is the Kohl pencil in the shade 05. It's just a My Flesh Tone color, and it really just brightens up the eyes. For mascara, I'm still using my Hourglass Caution Mascara. This is just a sample size. I wouldn't recommend it. I don't enjoy it, but I'm not opening a new one because no point. It just feels super crusty on my eyelashes. Like, it just feels crispy, which is not something I like at all. I prefer my lashes to feel a lot more pliable. I don't think the end result is bad. I think it's pretty decent, but I just can't stand crispy lashes. For lashes, I'm going to be trying a new to me brand because they just sent me some pairs to try out, which is very nice. These are Lithe lashes, and they're kind of neat. They come in cardboard packaging. You just slide them out. There's a little pamphlet in here, which I have not read because I know how to put lashes on. It's probably about the brand. Let me see. Give life to your lashes. Our soft, oh, that makes me so happy. Okay, our soft cotton bands are thin yet durable for that super light, extra comfy, long-lasting wear. Cotton bands are the best thing on false lashes. They are just very flexible and yet durable, and they just, oh, they're so lovely to apply. Our individually handcrafted lash fibers are made entirely of high-grade synthetic materials, making them 100% cruelty-free. A cruelty-free brand with a cotton band is very much welcomed. So these are the lashes. I'm going to pull them out, trim them down, and whack them on. I freaking love putting on cotton bands. Do you see how it just like, oh, I hope it was in focus. It just like curled in as I bent it. Oh, so nice. Telling you, nothing beats a cotton band for lash application. They tend to be a little bit more expensive than just like your regular plastic bands, but they're worth it, especially for beginners, because I have a much harder time with plastic bands because they have a tendency to like ping off on the edges, whereas cotton bands don't do that to me at all. Those are really lovely lashes. They're a little bit more on the subtle side of things, which is what I wanted for this look. But wow. Again, back to cotton bands. You cannot go wrong with them. They're my absolute favorite to apply, and I really like this style too. So yeah, thumbs up for Lithe lashes. Okay, so what's left? Brows. My least favorite part. I'm gonna do my brows, and I'll come back and we'll finish up with the lips. For lips, I'm gonna keep it really simple, and I'm pretty sure I've used this lipstick recently for another video, but it's one of my favorites, so I just have to. This is Bite Beauty's Bite of Atlanta lipstick. Came out, I guess it was a road trip collection last year. It's just the perfect peachy, warm coral-ish color. Matches my crease color, which is something I seem to do a lot of. And I'm just gonna whack it straight on and then blend it out with my finger because I want a soft look. Okay, there we go. That is my finished Urban Decay Naked Reloaded look. I really like how this came out, and it is a look that I go back to a lot that you can do with like a ton of different palettes, because all you really need is that sort of like peachy coral color through the crease. Just need some sort of champagne shimmery lid shade, and then just something to deepen the outer corners. It's not a difficult look, and it's really only 3 colors, which is fantastic. So that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you so much for joining me for week 19, and I will hopefully see you next time. Bye.